name is Trey Anderson, Coordinator for Student Athlete Success at Anne Arundel Community College. Today's edition of Tuesdays with Trey, we're going to discuss proper Zoom etiquette. Zoom is a platform used by professionals and teachers to communicate with multiple people at one time while video chatting. And in today's COVID-19 situation, is a major tool for our institution and institutions across the country. So we're going to talk about a couple of the few things that you can do as a student to ensure that you have an effective Zoom meeting. Okay, so first what you want to do, you want to find an intentional space. Intentional space is somewhere where it's free of distractions, it's quiet, no music playing in the background, no people talking in your background, no TV playing in your background, somewhere where you're comfortable, it's quiet, and somewhere where you can effectively focus. This is one of the first things you want to do when you first pre-set up for your meeting. This is an action that should happen about 5 to 15 minutes before the meeting. Okay, so secondly, what you want to do is you want to go into your Zoom settings. You want to test the audio and test the video to make sure that your camera and your microphone is working on your computer. It's very important because depending on what kind of meeting you're having, whether it's a classroom session or meeting, you want to be able to ensure that the people can all see you and speak to you, and that you can speak to the people and see the people as well. Now, when a meeting starts and everyone's getting set up and is checking into the meeting right before the speaker begins, what you want to do is make sure you're in the proper view. There's two views that you have. You have speaker view or gallery view. Now, in the educational platform, what most of the teachers are doing, they want to be able to see everybody and they want everyone to see everyone else. So you're going to be in the gallery view. That kind of gives you like that Brady Bunch look a little bit with a bunch of little mini screens across. And depending on how big the class is, there's going to be quite a few pages as well as that. But you want to make sure you blow the screen up full screen and you want to be in gallery view. Now, depending on what kind of session it is, maybe if it's something more professional or private where you don't necessarily need to see everyone else, that's when you want to be in speaker view. And that way you'll see exactly who's speaking at what time, especially if it's a large group of people. Okay, so now that you've got everything set up, you got your screen in a proper view so you can see everyone in your class, you want to make sure first you mute yourself. Unless you're speaking or have a portion where you're required to speak, you want to be muted. Because if something goes off in your background, like I said earlier, set up an intentional space where that doesn't happen, but sometimes we forget. So if something's going on in your background, whether someone's talking, music goes off, your phone goes off, it's not a distraction. So make sure you mute yourself. Now, this is not meant to be a stressful environment. So make sure the next step is to be yourself. Be relaxed. That's why you set up that intentional space all the way at the beginning in the pre-checks. Now, make sure you are wearing something appropriate. Make sure you have a shirt on. Depending on what kind of class it is and what the professor's asking for, you may need to dress up, especially those business majors. But other than that, you're at home. So you want to be a little relaxed. Have something appropriate on, be yourself, be relaxed, but don't move around too much during the meeting. You shouldn't be going, off screen. You shouldn't be, the camera shouldn't be shaking and everything, and you're kind of doing this and doing that, okay? What you want to do is you want to make sure that you have set up that intentional environment. Again, this all plays back in step one, so that when you are in the meeting, you're comfortably relaxed, whether you have your little drinks on your side, you have your snacks, so that way you don't have to do too much moving around. Okay, so next, this is school. You got class. You got class, you got questions. Okay, so when there's things that's confusing you with what the professor's talking about, maybe you want to have the professor just expand upon the information that they're giving, use the chat box feature that's on Zoom. The chat box is very effective, but make sure you think before you write, okay? You don't want to type the way you talk, as some people say, okay? You want to make sure that question is clear and concise, so that way if someone else has a similar question or needs better understanding, they don't have to repeat themselves later down the line. But chat box, that's the best feature to use, so that way you don't have to interrupt. Now, to expand upon the last point, there is also a raise your hand feature. Now, depending on the professor, they may want this class to be a little more engaged. So you don't have to sit on the camera and do this like, hey, professor, I got a question. There's a raise your hand feature on the Zoom application. You just click it and it shows that you're raising your hand. At that moment, maybe you need to speak and ask a question, or depending on what kind of class it is, it may be your opportunity to speak. So you're going to raise your hand and say, I'm ready, and then you begin your presentation. Now, when using Zoom, there is an important feature that if the professor or the host is allowing it, record. Now, didn't necessarily put that at the top because everyone doesn't give that permission to record. You would know prior to the meeting typically if that is something that you can do. But if it is something you can do, make sure you record the session. So kind of it's down here at number 8, but when you're in the beginning of the process and the meeting's about to start, make sure that if you know it's something that's allowed, you record the session. So at number 9, winding down in this presentation, Tuesdays with Trey, the last thing I want to talk about is be respectful. It is very important when having a Zoom meeting that your environment is not just respectful for yourself, but respectful for your classmates. Remember, everyone is learning, distance learning at this time during those Zoom meetings. And if it's just a meeting, it's still a meeting and you still want to be in a professional environment. So you want to have everything clear distractions. Back all the way to number 1, okay, make sure you have that intentional space already set up so there's no distractions. Be respectful of everyone else, especially the person who took the time to set up the presentation. So, a little bit extra for you. Sometimes we like to have a little bit of fun. So, in our meetings, in our classrooms, one thing that we like to do is have some fun backgrounds. Okay, so prior to the meeting, when you're setting up that intentional space, hey, make sure that you go through whether you have a natural background such as this. So lovely, springtime. Natural background such as this, or you can go online and find some pictures. Our baseball coach, he loves to find all of his game day pictures of the team and have them in his background, and it's awesome. So anyone else, any other sport, any other person, things that you love and like, find something that you can use as a fun background if it's one of those days where you can have one, and just make sure it's a respectful background as well. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And I hope you enjoyed today's session of Tuesdays with Trey. Have a good day.